Good morning, world.
Good morning, Alex.
It's Aloha Friday. That is the John and Alex show. I'm Alex.
I'm John.
This is episode 8,
Yes,
and it is Friday here, and we're going to be talking to you today a little bit about some things that are happening this weekend. And as it is the first Friday in December, we're going to start getting into some of those lists that come out at the end of the year, the top whatever happened in 2015. And today we're going to talk to you about top brands of 2015.
Yes.
More specifically, the top 25 top disruptive brands of 2015.
And this is a Forbes list, actually, that I saw on one of my friends, Rob Mora. He's the marketing manager for Uber Hawaii. Uber Honolulu, I think, is technically correct. And he posted a Forbes article about the 25 most disruptive brands of 2015. So we'll talk about that.
Okay. And John, you can talk to us about what disruptive brands really mean.
So disruptive brands really are companies, right? So if you don't know what a brand is, basically it's a company. Top brands that you would know are things like Coke, Pepsi, Subway. Those are all brands. So a brand really is a company's personality, something that you identify with. Right,
something that makes it different from other companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So so the disruptive brand is basically a brand that's doing things different. They're shaking things up in their industry. They're doing different things to stand out. And disruptive from the standpoint of it's jarring to the industry. So take, for instance, a traditional industry like, let's just say, socks. Right?
Okay.
A disruptive brand might come in, and instead of creating regular socks that you're used to, they would create the socks with, like, toe holes. Wow. So that would be a disruptive
That
move.
is innovative.
To take something, I suppose a sock, disrupt it, create a new product out of it that sort of changes the way that industry looks at the way, or that product or the service.
And that's something that we keep seeing time and time again, especially in 2015. I think there have been a lot of disruptive brands, lots of changes happening in the world, and I think a lot of them are really good changes.
Yeah, I think so. I think it sort of comes out of competition, when you have competition. And I always say competition is great. It validates. That's why you always see a Burger King next to McDonald's, right? There's always someone who wants a different brand, different taste. So competition is healthy, in my opinion, because all it does is validate, especially if you have a great product or service. You have nothing to worry about.
Sure, and if you are a disruptive brand and you're creating something completely new, out of the box, then some people are going to have to catch up just to compete with you.
Right. Yeah, so shall we go through the list?
Sure, let's get to it.
Okay, so this article is actually a Forbes article, like I mentioned. It's by, I want to say his name is Avi Dan, and he is a contributor to Forbes. And looks like the CMO network. So this article got about 50,000 views, and Avi here talks about the 25 most disruptive brands from the standpoint of what he sees in his observations, basically. So they're successful in how they've been innovating their own markets. And at the top of the list is Uber.
Yeah. All right, John, do you use Uber? Because I use Uber.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When Uber first launched or started launching here, I worked really closely with Tommy and that team to help to integrate into the market. And I actually applied for a job.
Really?
At Uber, yeah. That's the
Your car would cut it.
It's the only corporate job that I applied for. I actually applied to be the general manager.
Oh, okay.
Here, and it was really interesting because I really liked the service a lot, and I just thought it was cool. It's that there's an intangibleness to the way that Uber should work, in that you press a button, a driver shows up, takes you to where you need to go, and you leave. And it's sort of unspoken. So it's that intangibleness of it that made it magical.
And for those of you watching who don't know what Uber is, it's a ride-sharing app.
Yes.
So it's essentially you can get a taxi right from your phone, and it's a bit cheaper as well too sometimes.
Right. What Uber has done is really match industry standards. It's around the same price as a regular taxi cab, and it just makes it easier. There's a cool factor to it.
There's definitely the convenience to it, just from knowing right away on your phone who's going to be picking you up at what time and exactly where.
Right. So I definitely am a big user of Uber. I think it's the way to go. It's just easier. Everything's integrated as far as payment goes, so I don't have to worry about paying with money or anything like that.
Sounds good.
So you're an Uber user.
I'm definitely
an Uber user. What do you like about Uber, and what do you think makes it disruptive?
I definitely, just the convenience, and also everything is so connected. I mean, we already use our smartphones on the daily, and so why not connect it with something that we already use? I actually found out about Uber because I first found out about Lyft. This was a couple of years ago when it first started to pick up, and this is before Uber came to Oahu, and I was thinking, oh, this would be so great to have, because at the time I didn't have a car and I was just riding the bus all the time, and many times I would have to take a taxi. And the difference between Uber and Lyft, Uber is really branding itself as this really convenient tool that you can use to have effective transportation. And Lyft has a very similar concept, but their differentiator is really that they provide friendly service. It's more like a carpooling type of thing where you get to meet a new friend.
Right. So I mean, and the thing that Uber really builds upon is sort of a prestige. You know, it's a cool factor to it that they definitely play on. That you know, you pull up in a black car. That was the whole thing. Oh. You know, you pull up in a black car, you get taken to different places in a black car, and that coolness to it is what really you know, set Uber apart. And with Lyft, like you mentioned, you know, Lyft drivers are basically people like you and I who use their own cars to as the car share service. So Uber works the same way, except there's a specific type of car that they look for, especially if you're using Uber Lux or Uber SUV. There's a certain standard, which makes it different. And Lyft, some of you might know Lyft from the pink.
Mustache.
The pink mustache, right? You know, Uber is also this year's most highly valued startup, and you know, I just did a search for the value of it, and it looks like just 19 hours ago, you know, they're bringing in a round of funding that could value the company up to $64 billion.
Wow!
So it's pretty amazing.
Hey,
and at the end of the day, it's an app.
Sure.
It's a mobile app, and it's really more of a logistics company.
Yeah, and I actually read an article yesterday that Uber is trying to get into every single, you know, app that's currently on the market. So, for instance, if you have a business and you've got your website and it says, you have the map that says contact us, this is where we're located, there would be an Uber button right there to say, get me a ride here. Yeah,
and they're starting to do things like, I want to say that this weekend you can actually Uber a Christmas tree.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, so you can Uber a Christmas tree. They have ice cream. I think last month they did kittens. They worked with I think it was a shelter to deliver kittens. And I don't know if they were for adoption or if it was just you know, if you wanted to play with a kitten.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that they're doing,
so cool,
because the cars are on the road already. So you know, what they're doing is they're starting to use the cars to deliver things, which is really cool.
And that's very convenient, actually, especially in this Christmas season.
Yeah, and it's pretty disruptive.
So, John, I'm looking at this list of 25 different companies, and there are so many that we could talk about. So maybe we'll just pick a couple for today.
Yes.
And get back to it at some other point, and we'll definitely share this article with you so you can take a look at some of the most disruptive brands of 2015 and have you tell us what you think of them, which ones you use. And there are several on here that aren't necessarily companies, but they're people too.
Yeah, they are. So taking back a look at the list again, Airbnb is second on the list, followed by Facebook. So two huge brands that you and I both use. Well, I don't know if you use Airbnb. I definitely use Facebook a lot.
Yeah, actually, I have the app for Airbnb. Unfortunately, I don't travel enough to be able to use it, but one day I'm hoping to. Yeah. And, you know, I'm surprised that Facebook is on this list because, I mean, Facebook has been around for a while, as you all know. And in a way, I guess it has been pretty disruptive this year as well, in ways that they're always changing.
Right.
They've got, I don't know if their new Messenger app came out this year. Is that true?
The new Messenger, I'm not sure.
But that's something that, you know, they've integrated recently, relatively recently, and I think that's a cool feature. At first, I was very hesitant to get into it, but now I find it very useful. And a lot of times, if I don't have someone's contact information, I'll just Facebook message them. Yeah,
I think Facebook has such a huge user base that any changes they make by, you know, intrinsically make it disruptive.
Right,
you know?
totally.
I know, I do know some people that work at Facebook and heard about how complex the Messenger app is.
Yeah.
Like the code is super complex, and that was acquired by, you know, by acquiring different teams, and it was an adopted product. It's from what I heard and what I understand, Messenger is the most complex piece of technology.
Wow, that's interesting.
There. So it's, I mean, interesting.
Yeah, and you can call and do video calls just like Skype as well. And just to clarify, we're talking about the specific messenger app that's part of Facebook, not necessarily Facebook Message.
Right.
Cool. All right. What's one of your favorites on here?
Okay, so number 2 is Airbnb. I've actually used Airbnb.
Okay.
And I like it. It allows you to connect with different places. Basically, people can rent out their homes.
Yeah.
So you can rent out a room. You can jump into Airbnb and basically have similar to Hanai, we were talking about the other day. Having a friend in a city where you can, a place that you can stay.
And Airbnb actually does do tours now. I found out.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So if you're looking for a certain experience in that city, then you can basically rent a tour, kind of like you're renting a place to stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I didn't know that. And
yeah.
So that definitely makes it disruptive, and they're disrupting the way that people rent, basically.
Exactly.
The hotel industry, hospitality industry.
Right. Yeah. The CEO of Airbnb is very innovative, so it's pretty cool to see what he's done, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he plans for 2016.
Yeah. So number 3, Facebook. Number 4, Red Bull. Are you a Red Bull drinker?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, number 5 is Snapchat. My favorite.
Yeah. So Snapchat definitely is one that is disrupting the way that people do social media.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think makes them most disruptive?
It's funny because with social media, it keeps getting more and more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like with Facebook, you share so much of your personal life, and same with Instagram. But the difference, I think, with Snapchat is it really is that behind-the-scenes look of your life. And I usually compare it to Instagram because with Instagram, a lot is very much curated by whatever you want to put out there. So people try to make it very authentic, but in some ways it's kind of not, depending on what you post, really. But I know my friends and I take millions of photos just to have one photo, and then like figure out exactly how to change the filter and the lighting and everything, and then find the caption and then see how many likes it gets. So with Snapchat, it's way less thinking. You just take a little video or a photo of what you're doing, you put it on your story or you send it to a friend, and once your friend opens it, it's gone forever, and if you put it on your story, then it's only up for 24 hours.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes people invest more time in their Snapchat than they do in their other social
That's true. I've started to invest more in Snapchat.
Because it's like a storytelling effort, right? Yeah. Whereas like Instagram, it's like a single shot, and the furthest it goes is like what kind of caption you put up in a filter. With Snapchat, you have this story, and it's a chronological 24 hours of the day, and it takes some narration skills.
Sure.
To tell a story. I mean, you could just be like me and post the random things that don't make any sense.
Well, I look at your Snapchats and it's like the sunrise, your car, it's got the little timestamp on it. Okay,
I do the timestamp a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I do the timestamp a lot. And the cool thing about Snapchat also is there's so many different new filters.
Sure.
And Easter eggs. They have like fast forward and rewind now.
Yeah.
They have all kinds of
things. Geotags and rainbow bar and all kinds of things.
So it's really cool to see how they're using geographic location and like very minimal filters. They're more interactive filters, like mile per hour and things like that.
Sure.
And just be careful of driving with your mobile phone.
Yeah, or don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, don't forget, is the emojis and like drawing on it. I've actually been following a lot of Snapchat artists. Who make amazing cartoon drawings through their Snapchat. They'll take a photo of something and they'll draw on it, and the outcome comes out better than anything I can do on pen and paper.
Wow. What are some of your favorite Snapchat users? Do you know some off the top of your head?
Oh, yeah, actually. So if you're looking for a little bit of sass, Jackie O Problems is a great one. Girl with No Job is her sister. They both have great Instagram accounts as well. And so that's originally how I started following them on Snapchat. Yeah. The official dubbed Snapchat queen, I think her Snapchat name is like Nan LL. I think she's a European girl who does a lot of Snapchat drawings. M Platko and M Garber also do great Snapchat art. Yeah, no, I like looked online.
I wonder if we can get a
best
hold
Snapchatters.
of these people and like.
I'll try to Snapchat them and see if they'll be. Yeah, really.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't really know any Snapchatters off the top of my head other than my friends.
So am I like your favorite Snapchatter?
Of course. I thought when you were gonna say the official queen of Snapchat, you were gonna say it's like Alexandra.
I like to think that I am, but no, there is one that actually exists, and there are many great Snapchatters out there.
Yes, there are. Okay, so number 6 on the list is Alibaba. You know what Alibaba is?
I have, yeah, I'm a little familiar. It's basically like it's an e-commerce site, right?
Yeah, it's an e-commerce site. You know, it stems off of the, I guess, sort of manufacturing different things. It's their tagline is "Global trade starts here." You can basically go to Alibaba and get a quote for anything.
Wow.
So if you want to make things like hydro flasks, or if you want to order like 1,000 of these duffel bags here, you can come to Alibaba and you can get a quote from a different manufacturer from around the world and basically get something mass produced.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and it's one of the most trafficked websites in the world as well. And according to this list, they are number 6 on the most disruptive brands of 2015.
All right, very cool. I have been hearing a lot about Alibaba, so I'm glad to finally look into it more.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually was looking into doing some manufacturing earlier this year, and went out to Alibaba, and I was a little skeptical about how I would communicate with someone from another country, especially if it's a factory from China, and they totally speak English.
Okay. Yeah.
I was expecting, some different communication, and Peter talked to me. He's like, "Hey, what do you want?"
Oh, nice.
I was like, "I'm looking for this product." He's like, "Okay, how many do you need? What colors?" And it was super cool.
Yeah, it seems very simple. If I ever decide to manufacture a product, I'll go there.
Yeah, I'm looking a little bit more into that kind of stuff, which is
cool. So what was it that you're building?
It was actually, I was looking at different products for promotional things. So I wanted to mass produce like different water bottles and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I was looking into.
Huh.
Could still happen.
Yeah, definitely. The
Right.
world is your oyster.
It is.
All right, so number 7 on this list is Netflix. And I wonder if this had to do, because Netflix has been around for a while and people have been using it for a couple of years, but I wonder if it had to do with the whole tag Netflix and chill. Made it so disruptive.
I think that Netflix has been disrupting for the last several years. Things like companies like Netflix really sort of put companies like Blockbuster out of business.
Sure.
Everyone streams everything these days. You can watch anywhere, is what they say here on their website, and there are a lot of really great options on Netflix.
Definitely.
And then, like you say, Netflix and chill. I'm sure there's something to do with it. It's like it's a pop culture pastime, I guess.
Sure. I think it's because so many people use Netflix now that it's become a household term. You say Netflix and people aren't like, what is that anymore?
Right. It's a verb, right? Let's go Netflix.
Yeah, let's Netflix. And of course, relatively recently, in the past couple of years, Netflix has been starting to release original series like House of Cards, Master of None. That's actually been out recently, created by the comedian Aziz Ansari. It's very good. You should definitely watch it.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, Orange is the New Black. There are all these really great shows on Netflix.
Breaking Bad. That's where I watched it. I think Breaking Bad was probably my first series that I really used Netflix for. Before, there were like one-off documentaries. I really, when I wanted to watch Breaking Bad, after it got all that critically acclaimed review, I was like, okay, let's binge watch this, and I used Netflix. It was awesome. Such a great series.
I feel like I don't have time to Netflix binge anymore. I'd like to make some time. Hopefully this winter break I'll be able to.
Yes,
Netflix
for sure.
A little bit.
Any other favorite Netflix documentaries? Netflix picks?
There are so many on there, and I feel like I've watched so much of Netflix that I can't quite think of one particularly, but Master of None is definitely really good. Probably the most recent Netflix binge that I've had. Okay.
There's one that I like called The Art and the Steal. And then there's another one that's a documentary about the John Muir Trail. And if you're not familiar with the John Muir Trail, it's an epic trail that's in California, I want to say, and it's just really gorgeous. Like those nature pictures that you see that are like, what country is that in? It's basically in California. And let me just look it up here. The John Muir documentary is called Mile and a Half. And it's about just a bunch of creative friends that went out on this hike and they documented it. So
that sounds amazing.
It's a really cool documentary, really well made.
Cool. I'll definitely look into that maybe this weekend. Hopefully. All right. So a couple others. Let's see. Let's just go up to 10 because that's quite a lot today.
All right. Sounds good.
So Under Armour, their new brand ambassador is Misty Copeland, the ballerina. So I definitely love the commercials that they've been doing with Misty Copeland.
Under Armour. Are you a user of their products?
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah. It's
I try to get it when it's on sale.
you know, it's actually right. Of course, it can get expensive. I actually just clicked on an ad. So sporting apparel. You know, I want to say that you know, a lot of the larger teams really made this brand different, and it's interesting too. Going through a lot of these websites, I'll just go to Under Armour's website just to see the design. It's really interesting to see how different brands, some of the top brands at least, are displaying their products here. It's, you know, web design has come a long way. We should do a show on web design in the future.
That's cool. And, you know, I've been wondering with some of these companies, what makes it disruptive this year, right? Because they've been around for a while. A lot of them have been disruptive for several years, as you mentioned. And so I'd like to kind of take a look at this list a little bit more in detail and figure out what exactly makes them what brought them back, you know, to the top 25 most disruptive brands of the year.
For sure.
And in this Forbes article, it says keeping Misty Copeland on her toes. So I think definitely having Misty Copeland as part of their, you know, their brand ambassadorship this year has helped bring Under Armour back to relevancy. I mean, it's always been relevant. But.
Right, and I think it's been relevant to a certain crowd, right?
Definitely.
To a certain demographic.
Sure.
I've always known. I mean, you know, Misty Copeland, I didn't know who she was, honestly.
I did.
You just said it's a ballerina, which is really interesting because that's totally not the market that you would think to use on Under Armour. Which the brand is very hard. Armour itself is a very cold word and very manly word. So it's really interesting that they would use that angle
Misty
for, which is very disruptive.
Yeah, exactly, disruptive, and it works. So changing the status quo. Good job, Under Armour. All right, the next two are Instagram and Apple, and we can talk for ages about this, but I think most of the people already know what Instagram is and what Apple is. And let's talk a little bit about what made Instagram disruptive this year.
Well, I mean, Instagram is continuing. You know, I don't really see too much of a change in the app itself this year, other than new filters, other than you know, different gestures and stuff. It's just a solid platform for photo sharing. Okay.
You know, I think it might be in the way people use it in some ways. And also, one of the things that Instagram came out with this year is to be able to not just have your photos in square, but to have it, you know, the full length, the vertical or horizontal, a little bit longer, so you can showcase a little bit more of your photo, which I really like. Because now I don't have to go to like Whiteagram or like screenshot it or something, try to get it into like that or square size or something. Try to get into that little square. But it still maintains a lot of, you know, its original aesthetic. When you look at someone's page, it's a collection of squares, basically.
Right.
And I think more people have gotten into like the video feature of it. I know a lot of my friends here, especially, they take lots of adventure videos, and it's so great to see. And I think this integration of using Instagram as kind of like the enabler and using different products like GoPros and really great quality cameras, you go from using just your iPhone or your smartphone and translating that straight to Instagram to really having like a production in 15 seconds. It's kind of amazing.
Totally. You know, it's really revolutionized the way that people are creating content, and it's my favorite social network. You know, whenever I recommend anything to my clients, it's Instagram. You can share it to other networks, cross-promote. So really good.
All right, and with Apple, you already know, Apple's been disruptive for many years. They've released Apple Music. They've got all these new products and everything. So I don't think we need to go too far into what made Apple disruptive this year.
Yeah, I think watch is a big one. You know, coming up with wearables and you know, just changing the way that the iPad sits in the market. It's huge now. Have you seen the iPad Pro?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it in person, but I saw the specs and I was like, whoa, that's...
It's kind of like you're holding this like a flat screen. Like if you know, like a MacBook Pro screen, it's sort of like the screen fell off.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's
well, it's cool. Sometimes I'd be like holding my laptop. I'm like, I wish I could just have this half top part, you know? So I got an iPad.
Now. Yeah. You can now. And it has like keyboards and stuff. And I think that's really the form factor that they're targeting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 5 minutes left on the John and Alex show, so we quickly want to go through some of the events that are happening this weekend here in Oahu. For those of you watching from neighbor islands and from the continent or internationally, I'm very sorry, but if you're here visiting, you can figure out what's happening.
Okay.
So one of the things that I would like to talk about that's happening this weekend, Friday and Saturday, tonight and tomorrow, is the Honolulu Broadway Babies show. And as a little plug for my vocal coach, Christian Lay, she's amazing. She started this nonprofit organization to help those who are developmentally challenged or have disabilities, and to be able to get them into the arts. And so each year they have a variety show where they bring in Broadway stars and they perform for us. And so it's happening this weekend. If you could go back to that link so I can figure out exactly where and what time. Yeah, so New Life Church on Nu'uanu Avenue starts at 8 p.m. today. Tomorrow there's a 3 p.m. and an 8 p.m. show. So go check it out. You can get tickets on Ticketmaster or Eventbrite, or you can just go to their website, honolulubroadwaybabies.com, or their Facebook, and come see the show. It's going to be really great.
Awesome. I've been seeing you post about Honolulu Broadway Babies over the past couple of days, so I was looking into it. Seems like a really, really cool cause and a great nonprofit.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a chance to see like a little preview of some of the actors who are going to be performing.
I saw that on your site.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You're going to want to hear this.
Very cool. Very cool. What other events are happening out there, Alex?
Well, you know, tomorrow night they're going to be lighting up downtown for Honolulu City Lights.
Okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you usually go to the lighting ceremony, or?
At some point, you know, throughout the holiday season, I'll get out there and check out the lights. What Honolulu City Lights is every year around this time, the city of Honolulu will light up basically the downtown area, and there's a whole bunch of floats and Christmas tree decorations happening, and it's very fun to see. It's kind of a nice little date night there. If you want to take your family out there, you can get out there and see at Honolulu Hale, I believe it is, all the Christmas trees and the Christmas decorations. Kind of gets you into that holiday spirit.
Totally. It's a must for me. You know, they just go down there, at least drive by.
Yeah,
you know, do trolley rides and different things, which is really cool, you know, because we don't have too many seasons here in Hawaii.
Sure.
So it almost feels like you're in the mainland or somewhere else when you're there.
I know. It's like, it doesn't really get cold here. There's no snow. So to have the lights.
It was like 76 this morning. That's
so
chilly.
Cold.
Yeah. It's jacket weather.
Yeah. John, do you have any events that you want to plug real quick?
You know,
to some others?
No, I don't. I mean,
Okay.
there are a bunch of events coming up here. I'm looking on my Facebook feed. Did you mention something about a preview of SALT? Is that open to the public, or is that a media event?
You know, I think it's open to the public. I think I saw it on Honolulu Family Magazine's calendar.
Okay.
So you can talk a little bit about what SALT is.
Right. So SALT is a retail district. I guess you would say a retail block that's in Kamehameha's Kaka'ako. And it's basically a place for retail food, and it's the new development that's happening over on, we call Block F on Ala Moana, Keawe Street, Awahi Street. So that's sort of the SALT district, SALT area. So it's really interesting and exciting to see what's happening down there, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything come together.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're in town, you can check out the preview of SALT.
Yep.
Another thing, if you're into shopping, the brand that we had talked about last week, I think it was, or maybe it was earlier this week, Simply Sisters, the Big Island brand, is coming to Oahu, and they are launching their collection in Nordstrom's tomorrow. So they're going to have a new kind of opening event, and I believe Nahua is going to be performing. So it'll be fun. You can shop, and you can listen to some Hawaiian music, and of course support a local brand.
Right. Will you be there?
I'll try to. Oh, the other event, actually. So the place I work for, Malama Mauna Lua, one of the things that we are known for is pulling invasive algae out of Paiko Restoration
Actually sounds
area.
like a lot of fun.
It is. And so we're going to have a huki tomorrow, and it's actually Citizen Science Day. So what you can do is you can pull the invasive algae out. You can also learn a little bit about water quality, do some water quality testing, and then learn about a new ocean robot that is coming to Oahu called the Wave Glider.
That sounds like a lot of fun. What time does it start?
So it's from 9 to 11 in the morning, and it's going to be at Kuli'o'o Beach Park. So please be there by 8:45 and be ready to dig up some algae. So get ready to get in the water and learn some really neat stuff.
Okay, awesome. That actually sounds like a really cool morning event.
Yeah, definitely. And you can do all the other events afterwards.
Okay, cool. We'll bring my barbecue.
All right. That sounds good.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time that we have for today's show. Thank you so much for tuning into the John and Alex Show. As always, follow us on Facebook, or we post on Facebook, Alex and I, and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yep, you can go to hnl.me/JohnandAlexShow for the short link, or you can simply go to JohnandAlexShow.com.
Right.
Thanks for tuning in. See you on Monday.
And have a good day. That was fun.